Good morning and welcome to the Great British Bake Off. Just kidding. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm Chloe. Today I wanted to go through how to make scones. Scones are one of my favorite things to make and to eat, and since it's going to be fall soon, I thought it would be a great time to bake as it's getting cooler. Here in California, it's not so cool yet, but it's close. It's coming. Anyways, so at the beginning of this video, I had an ingredients list, a picture of all the ingredients for the scones that you'll need. I left out egg because I don't like to use egg in my scones. I like to just keep it easy, and it works out fine without egg. So, without further ado, so I already have my 3 cups of flour right here, and what I'm going to add next is just all of the dry ingredients. The baking powder, the cinnamon, and the sugar. So, first I'm going to add in my 1/2 cup of sugar. I don't like to make them super sweet because I don't think that's how they're supposed to be. I honestly don't know how to make a traditional British scone or Irish scone or any of that. I kind of just have made this up and adapted it from other recipes that I've used. So I added the 1/2 cup sugar, and now I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of baking powder. And this helps them get really fluffy. Yeah. Then I'm going to add the cinnamon. Just 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and at the end we'll make an icing, which I'll add more cinnamon to give it extra cinnamon flavor, because I love tons of cinnamon, especially with raisin, and I know that's kind of a given, but some people don't add cinnamon when they're making raisin stuff. So, but I have to have cinnamon. I've got to. Okay, after you mix all the dry ingredients, then you're going to grab your 3/4 cup butter, which I've cut into little cubes. Some people like to shred it on a cheese grater, but I feel like this is easier, and I like to keep things easy and simple. So you're just going to sprinkle it in there, and then you're going to mix it all in with your hands to make like little pea-sized pieces of butter and flour all mixed together. So this is what you want it to look like after you've mixed in all the butter, is just kind of like a fine mixture with the butter all incorporated into the flour. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is add the raisins. 1 cup of raisins, and you're just going to stir it in to the mixture. Get it real stirred. And I know what you might be thinking. Why are you baking with your hair down? I like to get little mystery hairs in there sometimes, you know. It's fun. It's like, which scone, which bite is going to give me that hair? It's gross, I know. Okay, Okay, after that, we're going to grab the half and half, or milk, or you can even substitute almond milk, or any of that will work too. And keep in mind, these scones are not healthy whatsoever. Full of butter, white flour, white sugar, all the bad stuff. Bad, dirty scones. But that's the way I like it. Okay, I've got my half and half. So what I'm going to do is just slowly, don't pour it all in at once, just slowly pour it in and stir it lightly, gently as you pour it in. The trick is with scones, you don't want to overwork it. It's not like bread or cookies or a muffin mix or something like that. It's, you know, they're delicate. Okay, this is about how damp you want it to look. You don't want it to be too wet. You don't want it to be too dry, which I know sounds silly and hard to achieve, but that is what you have to do. So after you've stirred it a lot, you can kind of mix it up with your hands a bit, just kind of turning it over. Not necessarily kneading it, but just turning it over, mixing it with your hands, and then after that you're going to kind of work it into a ball, or at least just a big lump of dough. And you're going to want to flour your surface a little bit, your counter surface, to then okay, I've got my surface floured, and you can go ahead and add just a little bit of extra flour to your ball of dough. It just kind of helps, it can get kind of sticky, so that helps a bit. So we're going to take it out, and then you want to kind of maintain the lump of dough, and then you're just going to flatten it out. Not totally flat, but you want it to be, I don't know, like 1.5 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches tall. That's my guesstimate. And then you can get your knife or a cutter. Some people like to make round scones with like the little cutout thing. I don't have one of those, and this is just how I usually do it. I cut it into like 8 triangles, and that seems to work out. So so I wanted to show a close-up of how I cut it. I just cut there, there, and an X, and you got 8 pieces. And then you're just going to lift up each piece. Okay, now we're going to bake them at 375. And you're going to want to leave them in there for about 10 minutes, check on them, rotate them, and then continue to cook them and keep watching them until they're like a golden brown, and maybe the edges just start getting a little bit darker. Because you want them to be soft inside, but just have a little bit of crispiness on the outside. That's how I do it. You know, everybody does it differently. Yeah. And so now we will wait. Alright, let's take a look at these beauties. Looking good. Okay, now time for the icing. What you're going to need is half a cup of powdered sugar, a tablespoon and a half of half and half, and a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Here we've got our icing, and you want it to be thick but not too thick so that you can't go like that. So that's a good consistency. And you can leave the cinnamon out if you don't, if it's too much for you. I love a lot of cinnamon, so I like to use a lot. So that's entirely up to you. Okay, here we have our finished scones. Golden brown. And I put a light drizzle of the icing on it. Doesn't matter how it looks, you can do it however you want. Look at that. Delicious. And I know what you might be thinking. Those look big. They are. It's just the American in me.